You know, the REM was down once again this morning, albeit in a limited fashion, but it was down once again nonetheless. Now, as plans to expand the REM network continue to roll out, residents of Montreal's West Island are raising concerns about what it could mean for their everyday bus service. A major route overhaul tied to the arrival of the REM has left some commuters worried that long-established bus connections could be reduced or even eliminated in favor of feeder services for the REM. Now, for many West Island residents who rely on buses to get to work, to school, to run errands, the uncertainty is prompting some tough questions. Is the REM going to improve transit overall, or could it inadvertently or by design kneecap the existing services they rely on? Michael Lebel is with us. He's a Beaconsfield resident who reached out to us to talk about this revamp of the bus network. Michael, welcome to the program.
Hi, Elias. Thank you so much for having me.
Why don't you give our listeners the case here as to what the indications are and just what will happen to STM bus service when the REM arrives in the West Island?
So I can specifically speak to the situation that I'm experiencing in my community. I'm a resident of Beaconsfield on a road known as Montrose Drive. The 211 service that currently exists going from the Metro service downtown to John Abbott College is actually now being rerouted through Beaconsfield on my small community drive to access the REM as opposed to finishing its destination at John Abbott College.
And okay, so that's the impact for you. Is this a worry because buses will be going down your street? I've heard some people in the community saying, "Well, I don't want a bus on my street," but buses go on lots of streets.
It's a little bit more nuanced than that, in all honesty. So the concern that citizens in my community are facing right now is purely on a safety measure. As I mentioned, the road that I live on is referred to as a drive. The reason for that is because it's very narrow and winding. These buses are high occupancy vehicles and will be forced to go through our community and confirmed by the STM have to cross the yellow line at times to be able to commute properly. The mirrors will be overhanging on our sidewalks, and these are just concerns that citizens have put forward to the STM and the city of Beaconsfield to say, hey, we don't think that this bus is safe going down small residential streets. We think that there's concerns that people might be injured, and we're trying to proactively avoid these issues before they become unavoidable, essentially.
Michael, what would you say to someone who looks at the STM's entire network? Lots of buses go on sometimes narrow streets at much higher frequencies that are going to happen in Beaconsfield, and say things are fine, people get along, and they're not the danger you're saying they are.
So we have been told that question many times, and at the end of the day, we really want to position this as a your street, our street. They don't necessarily have the same reflection. We are fighting for the cause of safety in our situation. We don't think that there's anything that should be ignored when it comes to safety. The city of Beaconsfield, the STM, they both say that the streets are safe because their drivers are professionals. That is the only caveat that we've been provided at this time with regards to our streets safe. We have done our own measurements, presented them to the STM to show them the widths of our street in the summer and in the winter. And the STM acknowledges that our streets are more narrow than the standards that they have put in place. They have acknowledged and admitted that they feel our streets are not wide enough. But due to their mandate to get buses to the REM, they're willing to overlook this because they believe that their drivers are professionals.
They say
which we find is unfair.
They say it's 12. Also. They say it's I'm seeing a comment from the STM says we're talking about 12 departures here.
So that's also confusing as well because the STM has continued to repeat that it's 12 buses, but it's 12 per direction. So in total, we'll be getting 24 buses on our street per day.
Gotcha. Okay, 24. So 2 an hour is what we're talking about here.
2 every half hour.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, Michael. Well, what about the rest of these changes? What about the fact that they're turning the West Island network into more of a feeder network for the REM? You have any issues with that?
So myself and the group that I'm participant in Beaconsfield with the 300 plus signatures on a petition with regards to safety towards the STM on Montrose Drive, we are for public transportation. We think public transportation is important. I use public transportation every single day from the first day of high school to my last day of university. I used it to get to work. I use it to get to concerts, and I use it to get to hockey games and festivals. I believe that public transportation has a purpose, but the end destination doesn't necessarily always reflect the REM station. We have to be more mindful that people have needs and wants about where they're trying to get to. Bringing a bus through a local community is not people's end destination, especially when that puts people at risk walking the neighborhood. Children are trying to get from one side of the street to the other. There's a park on one end, an elementary school and pool on the other. It's a road that's designated for cyclists. It's not safe for citizens to be commuting in their local community all of a sudden when you put large occupancy vehicles with the potential of 6 people maximum.
Michael, I got to be honest. This sounds an awful lot like, the NIMBYism stuff, like not in my backyard. You sound like I'm a big proponent of public transit, but just not on my street. Like that's what it sounds like, to be honest.
You could say that's the case, but I think it would be very unfair to eliminate the factor that there are safety concerns. The STM has even acknowledged these safety concerns. They admit that there is problems with the street that they've selected, but nonetheless, they're saying that it's, like you said, not my backyard. We're not saying that we don't want it in our backyard. We think that public transportation serves a purpose. Our road, our drive, is situated right next to a train station. It's accessible. It's situated right next to a bus stop, which brings you to the REM already. There are already convenient STM options that bring you to their final destination. Our concern lays simply with regards to safety. 300 citizens in this area are concerned about the safety of children, elderly, and handicapped people commuting in the area via foot, bicycle, or even car.
Do you have any examples of, STM buses, other parts of the West Island where they go on residential streets where it really has turned into it being dangerous for children and pets?
So we're not 100% confident that there are other examples of an avenue or a drive, let's say, similar to Montrose Drive. Again, our street is very narrow. It twists and turns. It's not meant to service the kind of commuter that they're asking for. Mm-hmm. So it's very difficult to give a comparison when you're comparing an apple to an orange, because our street, if the STM were to ever visit it, would show that it's very, very, very narrow.
Michael, we're going to have to leave it there. I want to thank you for voicing your concerns on the program. Thanks again.
Thank you very much for your time.
That's Michael Lebel. He lives in Beaconsfield, and he's not too pleased about some of those proposed revamps in the West Island.
I'm Dylan Playfair.
And I'm Tyler Smith.
We're putting loneliness in the penalty box by talking to some of our favorite athletes about the importance of friendship.
This is Bromance.
Bromance is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, proudly Canadian-owned and operated. Charm has been part of your love stories and bromances for over 50 years.
And you can find Bromance on the iHeartRadio network or wherever you get your podcasts.